When I was in my very first course of my master's degree for counseling, I took the marriage and family course, and first task was to do a genogram. And basically what a genogram is a family tree, but instead of looking at just who your family is, you're looking at patterns, you're looking at hobbies, you're looking at job patterns, you're looking at relational dynamics. And one of the interesting dynamics that I found in my family when I laid out my genogram is I looked at my grandparents, my parents, and my aunts and uncles. And what I found, and then me down here, so it's 3 generations down here to me. And what I discovered by doing interviews with family members, talking to them, is that I found every single person in my family had been divorced at least once, from my grandparents to my parents to my aunts and uncles to my sister. Every single person had been divorced at least once, most of them twice. And it was a really eye-opening moment for me because I didn't realize growing up, I just didn't, it was so normal for me, I just didn't think anything of it. And then I started looking deeper into relational dynamics, relational patterns that maybe one could argue maybe led to divorce, that led to the relationship dissolving, if you will. And for me, it was really powerful because I started to see in my own personal life some of those relational dynamics that I was carrying into dating relationships at the time. And I was in the middle of a dating relationship in that very moment when I did that genogram, and I'm looking at this going, I am carrying this thing into my own relationship. And it was eye-opening and it was mind-boggling. And I'm like, no. So I actually got out of that relationship and entered into therapy because it's just, I knew that I did not want to pass this same generational divorce in, but it was eye-opening. And this is what a genogram will do for you. And you can go online. There's a number of different places that you can find how to do a genogram. I just encourage you to do that. There's different ways that you can look at enmeshment. If there's an enmeshment in a particular relationship between, a mom and her son, or an aunt and a nephew or a niece or something like, or 2 sisters, or there's triangulation you'll look at. There's relational dynamics that you'll see. You might find abuse. You might find that there's alcoholism that goes on through the family as well. So you want to see kind of what dynamics are we bringing in to our relationship. And for me, what was so powerful about this is it was eye-opening in the sense that I was able to begin to course correct some of my own life. I was able to course correct some of the ways that the beliefs that I had, some about relationships, some of the ways that I interacted with those people that I was dating. And it wasn't until a few years later that I actually met my wife, but along that journey, I became healthier along the way because I looked back at what I was experiencing growing up and was able to unpack some of that, was able to discover who I was and who I was becoming as a result of that. And so I really want to encourage you, each of you, separate, go your individual ways, and do a genogram. Just take it and draw a piece of paper and get some graph paper or whatever, and draw the boxes. And you'll have square boxes for men, and you'll have circle boxes for the women in your family, and you'll draw lines down to their children and so on and so forth into 3 generations. I encourage you to look at 3 generations and then come together and talk about what you found. You might do some interviews, and I really want to encourage you, if you do some interviews maybe with a grandparent or a parent, it's not an interrogation. Don't set it up in such a way that they're, on guard or defensive, like, oh my goodness, what do you do? And this is a way, what we're doing is we're looking at ways that we can honor our family. And I talk about this often. One of the best ways that I have learned to honor my family is to look into our past, to see what has worked and not worked, to make sure that I can pass on to my family lineage, my children, my children's children, a healthier version of me than what my parents gave me. Because you know what? They gave me the best version of themselves. And they genuinely did. And I want to take, but there was brokenness there. I grew up in a family of divorce. So I want to take the best version that they were, and I want to honor them by making sure that I take what they gave to me and I pass that on through the generations. So set this up in your interviews as a way to honor your parents, as a way to honor your grandparents, because what you're also looking for are the positive patterns. You're looking for the joy. My grandfather, my paternal grandfather, was one of the most joyful men I have ever met in my life. Anytime you were with him, he was cutting jokes and making you laugh, and just, it was so funny. And so I want to encourage you, find the positive patterns, find those things that just bring your family to life, and ask your family about those. Another dynamic that you might end up finding are family secrets, family surprises. I didn't know that my grandfather had been married previously prior to my grandmother. They didn't have children, but he had another marriage prior to meeting my grandmother. But nobody talked about it. Nobody knew about it. And then I also started to discover things with my grandfather that was just fascinating. His history, the life he lived. I love him so much, and I just continue to honor him to this day because of the man that he is, the life that he lived. And so these are neat ways to be able to carry that into your marriage as well. So look at yes, you can look at the negatives because you want to highlight some of that to see what do I not want to bring in. But then what you want to do is you want to look at the positives as well. So you can look at what you do want to bring in. And as you do, here's your exercise. I want you to come out of that exercise. So we're talking about all these considerations, and some of those in the last video, we're going to get in deeper as we keep going. But after this video, what I want you to do, and we're going to do a mock interview coming up, where you're going to see this played out. You're going to see this role played out in an actual session or in a role play session where we see the exercise I'm going to give you. And what the exercise I'm going to give you is after you do your genogram, I would like for you to write down 3 aspects of your family of origin that you love, that you see, that you want to bring into your marriage. And then I want you to write down 3 aspects that you looked at and you said, yeah, this might not be so healthy. Maybe my family, maybe they yelled a lot when they fought. I don't want to bring that into our marriage. What are 3 aspects about your family of origin that you saw that you don't want to bring in? Write those down and then come together and talk about them. So do your genogram, write down your 3 aspects you want to bring in and 3 aspects you don't want to bring in, and we'll see you in the next video.